Hello students, in this video I'll explain to you Task-3 must reading materials about animation industry tools. So as you can find here in the beginning we have the definition of Adobe Animate, which is of course a vector based program that used to design interactive animations, and then you will find when it was announced. After that, a comparison between vector and raster image. Now, the most important that I want to explain in this video is about Adobe Animate, how to use the Adobe Animate to start creating your first animation. The first thing we have it here is about the workspace. Now, the default workspace that we are working with is Essentials, as we can find here in this drop-down menu. Now, I need from you to try to understand the name of each panel we have it here in this workspace. So we find here the edit bar, then I have the application bar, then here at the right side we have the properties panel, we have the workspace switcher, and we have the tools panel. At the bottom we have the timeline, and we have here the layers of the timeline in addition to the stage that we are using to design and create our animation. Now the first thing we have it in our Task-3 is how to change the workspace area. So we have two ways to do that: by using window, then we have menu workspace, then I can select the workspace that I want to work with, or by using the menu here at the right side of the Adobe Animate, so I can select the workspace I'm interested with. Now, in case of any, for example, problem with the workspace, like for example here this one is moved from its default location. If I want to reset the panel, so very simply I go to the to this menu and select Reset Essentials, yes, then I back to the default positions for all the panel. Now, in case if I want, as I said, if I'm using a classic workspace, then I want to back to the essential. Just I click again on the menu and select essentials. Regarding the stage, this white area that is called stage, also I can control some properties related to the stage. So for example, if I want to change the magnification of the stage or to scale the size of the stage, so we have this menu. So we have fit, for example, or maybe I can make it smaller, or fit in window. Also I can display the stage in full mode. Just if you go to the view screen mode and select full screen mode, so I can of course work with the stage in screen mode. If I want to back or return to the standard mode, just click on the escape key on the keyboard. This gray area surrounding the stage is called pasteboard. Also I can control to display or hide this area, gray area. Just you can go to the view and deselect pasteboard, so we have get rid from the pasteboard. But this is recommended to be there when we start creating our animation. Okay, now let me talk about the two panels here at the right side of Adobe Animate, properties and library. So properties panels always can be used to change the color of the stage, to change the document to properties, the stage dimension, and the other properties, as you can find it here. Also we have another panel, it's called library. This library uses to store and organize symbols created in Adobe Animate, in addition to import files. These files including bitmaps, graphics, sound file, and video clips. Now let me show you how to import an item to the library panel. Very simply, just we go to the file, import, then we select import to library. I have image on the desktop, so I will import it into the library. I select desktop, for example this image, open, Now, as we can find here, the item is imported into the library. Now, how to add item to the library from the library panel to the stage? Just simply, if the library is not open, you have to click on it or to open it from the window menu, and then all I need to do is to drag and drop into the stage. Then I can find the item on the stage, and after that I can resize this and work on it. Okay, so this is about the two panels at the right side of the workspace. Here at the bottom we have the timeline, which is located below the stage, and this one will be, of course, used to manage the time of your animation and create the layers. Now, a few things that you need to check it out. Here we have three values or three numbers at the bottom of the time line. The first one is the current frame. This is the frame rate, and the third number is the elapsed time, which is in seconds. Here in the timeline, we can find the layer name and how many layers used in your animation will be listed here. We can show and hide the layer. We can lock the layer, lock or unlock the layer, and we can show the layer as outline. So these are the buttons that we can find on the timeline. Sorry. Okay, let us talk about the layer, how we can rename the layer. We need to select the layer that we want to rename it, double click on it, then I can write my name that I want, then the layer name has been changed. How can I add a new layer? I have two ways to do that. Very simply, we can click on this button, then a new layer will be added, or we can go to the insert timeline, then I select layer, so a new layer will be added there. How can I insert frame or keyframe into the layer? So for example, if I select background layer, if I want to insert frame here, so very simply also we can use the menu insert, then timeline, after that I select frame, now the frame is added, or we can press F5 key on the keyboard. So as you can find here, I press F5, then the new frame has been added. Now regarding the keyframe, if I want to insert a keyframe, we can select the frame that I want to use it to insert a keyframe. Again, we can go to the insert timeline, then I select keyframe, so the keyframe will be added there. Or very simply, we can press F6 on the keyboard to insert a keyframe. Now we have two types of keyframes. If we have this blank circle, as we can find it here, so that's means this is a blank keyframe. But if I add content, for example, if I add content into the background, I added a drag and drop from the library. Now I added content here, so we can find now we have here this black circle. Here it means this is a keyframe, not a blank keyframe. This is keyframe. Okay, now how we can move the keyframe on the layer? Just you need to click on the keyframe, then you can use the mouse to drag the keyframe into the place that you are looking for. So here, as you can find here, the keyframe has been moved. I can do it again, click, then I can move it anywhere on the layer. So this is how we can move the keyframe. Then one more thing, we have how to preview our animation. So we have many ways to do that. The first one is just simply click or press on the enter key, so I can preview my animation, or I can go to the control menu and select a play. Now this one we call it is to preview or see your animation within the animate environment inside what we call it Adobe Animate. Now if I want to test it on the browser, test it with for example with the player, We have two ways. We can press Ctrl Enter, as you can find here. So here now we'll play the animation in separate, of course, player, not inside Adobe Animate. Or we can go to the Control and select Test or Test in the browser. So here again will show me the animation separated from Adobe. Okay, now let me explain to you how to create symbols which are reusable assets that we can use it in Adobe Animate. And as we can find in the key materials, we have three types of symbols: graphic, button, and movie clips. Now let me show you how to create a movie clip symbol. So for example, if I have this shape on my stage, just I need to select it, then I go to modify, select convert to symbol. Then I can select from the three types: movie clip or button or graphic. So for example, movie clip, I can call it symbol 1 and I click OK. So now became as a symbol. I can reuse it. So as we can find here in the library, now I have my image that I already imported and my symbol, and this icon will show me the type of the symbol, which is a video clip. So I can reuse it. So I can drag and drop any number of copies from this symbol and use it with my animation. Now one more thing just we need to talk about it is how to create the different types of animations. So the first type is frame by frame animation. For example, if I have this circle now in this position, then I insert keyframe. You can use the menu. Then in the second keyframe, I can change the location or the position. Then I insert another keyframe by using F6. Then I change the position. I can resize it, for example, and change any properties you want for the object or the symbol. So here I use now many keyframes, and in each keyframe I'm changing the properties of the object. So here, and for example, for the last keyframe, I will move it, and also I will resize it a little bit. Now this kind of animation is called the frame by frame animation. Just I'm adding keyframes and changing the properties of the object. To play this animation, test it here inside Adobe Animate, just go to the control and the play, so we can find this animation. Or I can click on the play button here on the bar or toolbar here, control bar, or can press enter on the keyboard to test the animation. Now the second type of animation we want to create is classic tween. So very simply, here we have the ball or the circle at the left side. I will select keyframe, for example, at frame number 25. I insert keyframe, I press F6. Then here at frame 25, I change the properties of the object. For example, I put it at the right side. So I have keyframe in the beginning and I have keyframe at the end of the action at 25. Then in between, I will right click, I select create classic tween. So now the animation is created. This is, of course, is faster and more easier than a frame by frame animation. So I can play now the animation or press enter to test the animation. Okay, now I will show you example about how to create motion tween. So the steps are different. Here we have the circle on the left side. I will right click on the object on the stage. I select create motion tween. Then I have the motion span here on the timeline. So here at the last frame, I will change the position of the object. Then I have this path of the animation. I can edit this path. So for example, I make it like this. Now the animation is done. So I can play the animation to see it on Adobe Animate. Now the last type of animation is shape tween. So now let me show you how to do that. So for example, in frame 1, I will draw a square. Then I will insert a blank keyframe at frame number 30. I will right click, then insert blank keyframe, or just simply press F7 on the keyboard. Here at frame number 30, which is blank keyframe, I will draw oval. at this position. So done. Here in between, I will right click, I select create shape tween. So now I have this animation. As you can find here, the square will be morphed or turned into a circle. So this is the shape tween. This is what we have about Adobe Animate that I wanted to explain here in this video. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the best.